Hi there. The lesson today is the difference between criminal and civil law. So different from doing like the civil law system and the common law system, this is both in the common law system, the difference between criminal and civil law. So the definition of criminal law would be something, an act of some antisocial behavior that affects the whole society. Whereas civil law, the definition would be an act that harms an individual. So an individual usually harms an individual. And criminal law being public law, meaning we, the public, have elected a validly elected democratic legislature to pass criminal law. And so the public is against the accused. We, the people, like in the United States, we say the Crown. Whereas civil law, civil tort law, private law, where maybe it's a breach of common law or a breach of precedent of some sort. Now, the parties involved in criminal law would be the Crown and the accused. So capital R, dot, R being Rex or Regina for Crown, V, which means technically in Latin and. People say versus, but really we should say and then the name of the accused, so RV the accused. And that to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused. Whereas in civil law, it's the plaintiff v. defendant, so two names, Johnson v. Singh, and that's to resolve a dispute. Okay. The punishment, so the accused could be sentenced and their liberty is compromised. Whereas the punishment in civil is compensation or damages, so it's just usually a money award. So for examples, criminal, we could think of theft, assault, murder, conspiracy, fraud. Whereas civil law could be negligence, defamation, those kinds of things. So what's the result of the action? In criminal law, if the accused is found not guilty, or if found guilty, they're either found not guilty, or if they're found guilty, they're punished by the state. Whereas in civil law, if the defendant wins, they're just not liable for the damages. But if they lose and the plaintiff wins, they're liable and they're forced to pay the plaintiff the costs and maybe legal costs as well. And so the burden of proof, that's an interesting one. In criminal law, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And so there's no real percentage assigned to that, but let's just think of 90% or higher. So it's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt to take somebody's liberty away and put them in jail. And so that's a very difficult burden on the Crown, and it's not easy. Whereas in civil law, it's called on the balance of probabilities. Is it more likely than not, on the preponderance of the evidence, sort of 51%, win or lose, very close. And so it's a lot easier to be successful as a plaintiff in a civil suit than it would be as the Crown in a criminal trial. And so those are the main differences between criminal and civil law. But both are in our common law system. So that's today's lecture.